In 2017, thousands of people paid up to $75,000 for a luxury music festival on a private island in the Bahamas. What they got was different. Disaster relief tents, cheese sandwiches in styrofoam boxes. No artists, no staff. Flights out were chaotic and limited. Many guests waited at a small, overwhelmed airport for hours, with no information and nowhere to go. But the guests were not the only ones who suffered. A local Bahamian woman named Maryann Rolle spent $50,000 of her personal savings feeding stranded guests and festival workers. She was owed over $130,000 by the organizers. She never received a cent. The man behind it all went to federal prison. His co-founder never faced a single charge, and the moment he was released, he announced Fyre Festival 2. This is the story of Fyre Festival. What happened? Who really paid the price? And why it matters that the man responsible is still out there. Welcome to Uncracked World. Billy McFarland was not new to failed promises. Before Fyre Festival, he built a company called Magnesis, a metal credit card targeting young professionals with promises of exclusive events and luxury experiences. Members paid. The perks rarely materialized. The company quietly collapsed. He was 25 years old, no background in event management, no experience in large-scale logistics. In 2016, he partnered with rapper Ja Rule to found Fyre Media. To promote their music booking app, they decided to throw a festival in the Bahamas. They spent over $1.5 million paying influencers to promote it. Bella Hadid, Kendall Jenner, Emily Ratajkowski, all posting the same orange tile on the same day to their combined hundreds of millions of followers. Tickets went on sale and sold fast. What most buyers did not know, and what prosecutors would later confirm, was that at the time tickets went on sale, Fyre Media's total revenue was $57,443. Not millions, not hundreds of thousands. $57,000. That was the entire financial foundation behind a festival people were paying up to $75,000 to attend. Day tickets started at $500. VIP packages, including airfare, went for $12,000. Around 5,000 people bought in across 2 planned weekends. What were they buying exactly? According to the promotional materials, geodesic dome accommodation, meals from celebrity chefs, performances from 33 acts including Blink-182, Major Lazer, and Migos. A private island experience unlike anything done before. On April 27, 2017, the first wave of guests landed in the Bahamas. What they found was FEMA disaster tents, mattresses soaked from overnight rain, no celebrity chefs. Their promised gourmet meals were 2 slices of bread and processed cheese in a styrofoam takeaway box. Someone photographed it and posted it online. Within hours, it was everywhere. That evening, inbound flights were canceled without warning. Guests who wanted to leave found themselves at a small island airport with no information and no clear way out. Some were locked inside overnight. On April 28th, less than 24 hours after the first guests arrived, Fyre Festival was officially canceled. McFarland told the press organizers had been, quote, a little naive. Nobody had been paid to show up, and the people who had worked hardest to make it happen were about to find out they would never be paid at all. While festival goers were posting chaos on Instagram, something else was happening on the other side of the island. Maryann Rolle had been cooking since before the sun came up. She was 67 years old. The owner of the Exuma Point Bar and Grill, a small family restaurant she and her husband had spent 12 years building into something they were proud of. When Fyre Festival organizers approached her about catering the event, she agreed. It was a good faith contract, signed and official. A real opportunity for a small local business. She prepared no less than 1,000 meals every single day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. 10 workers helping her around the clock. Cooking through the night. Delivering to the festival site and to organizers staying at her resort. When the festival collapsed, nobody called her. No payment came. No explanation. Nothing. To cover the wages of the workers she had brought in, workers who had shown up every day and done everything asked of them, Maryann Rolle reached into her personal savings. $50,000. Gone. Fyre Festival owed her $134,000 in total. She never received a cent. Her credit was ruined. Her savings wiped out. Nearly 2 years passed. Still nothing from McFarland or anyone connected to Fyre Media. Then, in January 2019, the Netflix documentary aired. Maryann appeared on screen and told her story. The internet responded. A GoFundMe campaign raised over $200,000 in days. Thousands of strangers, most donating less than $20, gave back what a fraud had taken. But here is what Maryann did with that money. She kept enough to cover her own losses. Then she gave the rest away. To the other local workers, the builders, the laborers, the people who had shown up every day and never been paid. People whose names never appeared in any documentary. As of 2021, she was still driving the same small Honda Fit she had before any of this happened. Maryann Rolle was not a wealthy festival goer who lost a weekend. She was a woman who gave everything she had to honor a contract, and was never once looked back at by the people who signed it. Billy McFarland did not build Fyre Festival alone. From the very beginning, his partner was Ja Rule, real name Jeffrey Atkins, one of the most recognizable rappers of the early 2000s. Together, they founded Fyre Media. Together, they conceived the festival, and together, they promoted it to the world. Ja Rule was not a background figure. He was the face. He appeared in the promotional video. He posted about the festival to his millions of followers. He stood on stage at press events calling it the experience of a lifetime. His own tweets described it as FOMO-inducing and Coachella times 1,000. When the festival collapsed, McFarland was arrested. Ja Rule was not. Federal prosecutors determined that Ja Rule's role was primarily that of a celebrity endorser, rather than someone who planned or executed the fraud. The criminal charges against McFarland specifically related to fake financial documents he had shown investors, documents that claimed Fyre Media had earned millions in revenue. The actual revenue of Fyre Media at the time, $57,443. Ja Rule's name was not on those documents. A civil lawsuit against him was also dismissed. The federal judge ruled that his promotional language, the FOMO tweets, the Coachella comparisons, was too vague and exaggerated for any reasonable consumer to rely on as a specific factual claim. In other words, the court said his promotions were obvious hype, not fraud. Ja Rule's own position has always been consistent. He claims McFarland deceived him, that he also lost money, that he was a victim. He has never watched either documentary made about the festival, and in a television interview years later, when asked if he would ever attempt another festival, his response was direct. "Fuck yeah, and I'm going to kill it." Whether you believe he was deceived or not, one fact is not disputed. Maryann Rolle spent $50,000 of her savings and never saw a cent. Ja Rule faced no criminal consequences whatsoever, and Billy McFarland served less than 4 years of a 6-year sentence before walking out of prison, free to start again. Here is what happened while Billy McFarland was out on bail. He was already facing prison. He had already pleaded guilty to defrauding investors of over $26 million. Sentencing was weeks away. He started another company. He called it NYC VIP Access. It claimed to sell tickets to the most exclusive events in the world: the Met Gala, Burning Man, Coachella, the Grammy Awards, the Super Bowl, a private dinner and Cleveland Cavaliers game with LeBron James. None of those tickets existed. To find his customers, he pulled out a spreadsheet of Fyre Festival attendees. He sorted them by salary. Then he contacted the highest earners directly, the same people he had already defrauded. He went back to them. He made approximately $100,000 before federal prosecutors caught up with him. Footage of him running this scheme was accidentally recorded by a camera crew. It later appeared in the Netflix documentary. On October 11, 2018, Billy McFarland was sentenced to 6 years in federal prison. He was released in March 2022, less than 4 years served. He still owed his victims $26 million. Within months of his release, he announced Fyre Festival 2. Tickets went on sale. The most expensive packages were listed at $1.1 million each. According to McFarland, the first 100 tickets sold out immediately. There was no confirmed venue, no confirmed date, no confirmed artists. A New York Times investigation found that the GPS coordinates published for the festival location pointed to an empty stretch of open ocean off the coast of Cancun. In April 2025, Fyre Festival 2 was postponed indefinitely. McFarland then put the Fyre brand up for sale on eBay. It sold for $245,300. He described the price as disappointing. Then, in December 2025, under a new name, PHNX, he actually threw a festival in Honduras. French Montana headlined. A few hundred people attended. Locals were reportedly invited for free to make the crowd look bigger. There were power outages, there was food, nobody was stranded. By Billy McFarland's own standards, it was a success. Whether it was enough to close the chapter on everything that came before it, that is a different question entirely. Maryann Rolle was never fully repaid by the people who owed her. The $134,000 Fyre Festival signed a contract to pay her. It never came from McFarland or anyone connected to Fyre Media. What she got came from strangers on the internet. Billy McFarland still owes his victims $26 million. He has never paid it. And yet, people keep buying tickets. That is the part of this story nobody talks about properly. Not just that Billy McFarland is a fraud, but that the formula keeps working. The promise of exclusivity, the fear of missing out, the feeling that this time it will be different. It worked in 2017. It worked again with Fyre Festival, 2 tickets at $1.1 million each. People paid. Billy McFarland did not build this alone. He built it on something that already existed in people. He committed fraud with Magnesis, then Fyre Festival, then NYC VIP access while on bail, then Fyre Festival 2. 4 times. Each time, people paid. That says something, not just about Billy McFarland, but about all of us. This has been Uncracked World. If you want to know what they are not telling you, you know where to find us. Subscribe, turn on notifications. The next story is already waiting.